What stopped you from committing suicide? I tried to hang myself, twice. Nobody knows it happened, and both the time, what saved me was luck and this insane being that seems to live in the back of my mind. It believes it's the king, that it can do anything and that it needs to survive. Whenever I feel like dying it seems to crop up and say if this doesn't work out, then we can die, and this keeps repeating. The reason I considered it was because I grieved for my mom and I missed her a lot. I thought about it for a long time and realized that I didn't want to burden my dad and my sister with another death in the family, especially such a young one. My puppy Tessie and my family. I once had a dream where I was dead on the ground and Tessie was whining, probably trying to wake me up, probably not understanding that she could not wake me up, and that dream stuck with me ever since. I was too tired from climbing the stairs to go through with it. My little brother. I was scared that my .22 LR revolver would just injure me rather than kill me. Called my sergeant at the time and told him I wasn't going to work in the morning. He ended up driving me to a psych ward, which was somewhat helpful. I'm very grateful for him. Nowadays I just don't have the heart to hurt myself, even though I really want to at times. I don't know what keeps me going. My life is still falling apart and I'm likely going to be kicked out of the military over this. Feel like a failure and that I'll never amount to anything good. I had nearly a year streak on Duolingo and didn't want to lose it. I wish I was joking. Deleted. Honestly, just worrying about screwing it up and then having to go on with life, but with extra hospital bills, potential new disabilities, and all of my friends and family knowing what I tried to do. Knowing that my cat would never understand why I didn't come home. How much loss my grandparents have suffered. I'm not going to be the one who adds to that. Family. In my mother's caregiver, if I leave she has no one responsible to take care of her. Deleted. I'm a pussy. Nothing, I'm just too scared to leave my mom hurt. They hung up. I was going to jump in front of a train, I was waiting for the right day, it got foggy often where I lived. As I was waiting for a train a stranger came up, it was in the Toronto area, high population, and just starting talking about random crap. I don't even remember what, probably just the fog being so thick, my mind was buzzing at the time. He threw me off though and I ended up leaving. Later that night I sat with my thoughts and I adopted a dog and eventually talked to a doctor. I stayed on medication for a bit to improve my mood. I've since taken myself off them, and found a healthy relationship. I make a point to play with my dogs anytime my mind wanders somewhere dark. Dogs are the best. Friends tried committing and sent the group chat I'm sorry. They lived, but seeing how much everyone was freaking out and how worried we were, I knew I couldn't make them go through it again. Besides, I don't want to be known as the dead ex-partner to my girlfriend. A f-king TV show, like I know it's dumb but like it truly helped saved my life. Deleted. I decided to drop the goody two shoes. Honestly, I worried for my super nice landlord that if I killed myself in his apartment he'd never be able to rent it. Was going to do it in my car, but I worried someone innocent would find me. Fear of failure and how much trouble I'll be in if it doesn't work. I should have went through with it because the thing that stopped it is gone. The future is all that keeps me going now. What lies ahead? When that one fucker from school said he'd outlive me. Nothing. I just wasn't strong enough. But I get stronger each day. Literally Comic-Con. I live in Italy and around April here we have a convention for some nerd thigzake and that shit saved me. I went for 3 days, the last one was my end date. I planned jumping off the window of the building where I live on April 23rd, is that I was gonna leave this world that night. I just couldn't after living one of the best days of my life. Maybe can sound pretty stupid, but I was so down that I lost all contacts with everyone, my fault, and started having a really bad addiction to self-harm. In my last days I was gonna do something special, preparing myself after a long time with clean clothes and some makeup. I cosplayed a character from Genshin Impact, Bennett, and the first 2 days were good but not enough for changing my mind, and then the last one. I met so many friendly people that warmed my heart with compliments, jokes, hugs, dances and all that stuff that someone will do when hangs out with their best friends. I felt in a real family. I laughed so hard at the point of not being able to stand anymore and two persons had to drag me around all the rest of the day. That night I was staring out the window thinking if they would be sad if they knew I was gonna pass away. So I didn't and I walked away chatting my new friends normally as I didn't planned anything at all. P.S. I'm not in contact with them anymore but I got back my old friends. At the end I was the one that isolate himself from them and they didn't knew I was doing that bad. Oh and the SH addiction didn't pass but I'm working on it. I had a 72 clean days. Then I fucked all up but it's okay, can happen. My own cowardice. I couldn't pierce the blade properly to cut my veins. Then the blood started coming out and I didn't want my family to find out so I couldn't cut myself more. I just gave up. This was 10 years ago and I am having major suicidal thoughts again but I don't know if I will be able to do it though I am sick of myself. It was a failed attempt and I woke up freaking out with my mom bawling over top of me. Broke my heart seeing what I did to her. Wasn't allowed to be alone for a few months after that. A broken belt, should have gotten a sturdier belt. I have a new gun. Sat down on my bed, pulled it out of my nightstand. The top part is how you pull the hammer back to chamber around. It was hard to pull but I did. I put the gun in my mouth and I kept thinking about how if it's angled weird due to your mouth it could miss your brain altogether. So I took it out, put it under my chin, then was worried it wouldn't work so I moved it to my temple. I did this over and over till finally I pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. The bullet never chambered. So I put it down and just left it at that. I don't know if it was a sign or not. But the courage I had was gone. Well, I wouldn't say courage, it's more like adrenaline or something. I had always wondered what it would feel like to have a gun in my mouth but never went as far as to actually do it till that day. This was recent, yes. I already have help so please don't offer it. I'm battling stage 4 cervical cancer and my insurance is pretty great but my string of bad luck, including cars breaking down constantly and not being able to afford to fix them and not being able to afford gas to and from treatments and struggling to feed my kids because only my husband works. I can't work because I have 2 tubes coming out of my back going into each ureter because tumors were blocking them, a colostomy bag and the literal strength of a newly born deer, and I get about $150 a month in child support from my ex when he decides to pay it and never sees our son. I'm literally only staying because I don't want to make everyone who loves me sad. But me being sad all the time is really taking its toll and I have the means to do it clean and peacefully but I just can never bring myself to do it. I haven't told anyone this. I can't bring myself to make anyone worry. My son, and honestly barely. So it's due to the fact that I know he won't be financially stable if I weren't here. I made a pinky promise. This was years ago during the spring semester of my freshman year in college. It was the rock bottom moment I experienced over my mother's death 2.5 years prior, and the pain from that had been building for the entire school year. I had no idea I was dealing with a nasty case of prolonged grief, but I missed her so much I decided I couldn't stay any longer. I had everything I needed to go out to my truck, which she had left me, drive off campus, spend the night writing my goodbyes, and go through with it. I remember having my keys in hand, leaving my room, and deciding on a whim, I'm going to call _. If they don't pick up, I'm done. I didn't think they'd be up or at their phone, but thankfully they were. Had me come straight to her dorm on campus and helped me email my therapist how much I'd really been struggling. She had me stay until we were both sure I was okay for the night before I went back to my dorm. I think about that night a lot. I wouldn't be alive right now if they hadn't picked up that night. NTHG. This thread. I had it all planned out, as I have in the past. But I was always so fucking scared of the pain that would ensue, leading up to death. But this time around, I was at peace with it all. Whatever choice I chose, I was at peace with. I planned Monday would be my last day. So today I told everyone in my life I loved them and thanked them for everything. If they showed concern for it, I assured them I was okay and was just appreciating them. They accepted that answer. So I then gave away my gaming accounts, planned on paying the last of my bills so my roommate would be okay, and said my goodbye to the gaming world on Twitter. No one caught on. But I decided to just come on Reddit and look up suicide and came across this thread. I had spent the majority of this day rotting in bed, in tears and sleeping. I told myself, just one more day on this god-forsaken earth living my miserable, endless suffering life. Yes, there are people who have suffered far worse, but they were stronger than I because I couldn't fathom continuing living. I didn't want to exist and nothing I thought about was enough to keep me. I was at peace. Then I read this thread, and it once again dawned on me. I may end my suffering and pain, but that just means everyone in my life would be forced to carry it with them, and I couldn't be at peace with that idea. I don't want anyone to suffer because of my last decision. So thank you all for sharing your stories because it saved me. Heart, I want to live and invest in my life and find my happiness. I wish you all great, long prosperous lives. Yellow heart, heart, green heart, blue heart. I will keep fighting. Much love everyone. Nothing. Tilde I am dead. Tilde have never had the urge to commit suicide. My fiancée was the only thing stopping me. But now she has cancer and I'm just hanging in there for her. Cause there's still a chance we can grow old and happy together. I'm too scared to go through with it. No matter how much I want to, I just can't make myself do it. My dad tells me this story of how he had to make an emergency landing in his little plane. He had lost his situational awareness. Basically, it was dark out and his brain thought he was flying straight and level, but really he wasn't at all. This caused him to need to make a very shaky landing on a runway that he was intending to land on initially. When he got there, he was confronted by a police officer. I mean, from his perspective it looked like my dad was flying drunk. My dad explained the situation and the officer understood. The officer then confessed that he had came to this quiet airport to kill himself. They went to a bar and talked for a few hours. I hope he found his peace. I haven't always will want to kill myself. I have had a lot go wrong in my life and a lot of people hate me and I don't know why. What stopped me from killing myself is realizing that the people who hate me need someone to hate and it makes them feel better, so I'll suffer for others to feel happy or at least accomplished. A family member did it first. Went to his funeral, watched my family mourn him, watched his parents become different people, saw how the entire dynamic of our family changed. I couldn't do that to the people I love. My mom. She had to bury my brother. I don't want to put her through that again. Nothing did, but I did regret it after. I chugged a bunch of my little brother's ADHD pills. Before this, I asked my 7-year-old brother to check if I was awake, dead, later, and if so to tell my older brother. My parents were out. After taking all these pills, my little brother came into my room say, "I'm just checking if you're awake." He had no idea, clueless about what I had done. I ended up going to my older brother telling him what I had did. I still remember him sobbing. I fucking regret the pain I put them through. I was going to do it 1 year, but it was too close to the holiday. I didn't want my family to associate holidays with my death, and I was also using some religious resources to figure out if I was going to HLL, so I decided that I would wait until the holiday passed and finish my religious research. If I found enough information that would prove that I wouldn't go to HLL, then I was going to do it after the holiday. Immediately after the holiday, my job sent me to a foreign country. I couldn't do it there because I didn't want it to be difficult for my family to figure out where I was and what happened. The company kept changing my return date, which prolonged my thinking about it and prevented me from doing it. When I returned home, I felt that the Road kept me in the foreign country on purpose so that I wouldn't do it, so I decided to keep pressing on. November 27, 2014. I would have been dead if it wasn't for two strangers. I've had many traumatic events happen throughout my life and have dealt with anxiety and depression for most of it. I am not sure what exactly happened to me that day, only that I had a mental breakdown. I walked to the highest freeway bridge in my city and climbed alongside the outside of the bridge's tall fencing. I tiptoed my way to the center of the outer part of the bridge, about to let go onto oncoming traffic, when suddenly a car pulled up on the other of the fencing. A family came out of the car trying to convince me to not let go. I realize now their intent was more to distract me. Because before I could let go, two men tightly grabbed my hands and strapped them tightly onto the fencing with their pants belt, therefore preventing me from falling onto oncoming traffic from a very high bridge. The whole time I was standing on about 3 inches until the firefighters came. I was placed on a 5,150 hold. Shortly after having arrived at the hospital, I come to find out I was pregnant with my first son. Needless to say that now I am a mother of 3 beautiful children, and because of them I am still here, alive, only because of them.